Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see everyone. Today, we're going to be continuing on with the skip button that I started yesterday for those of you that were here. But before I get into that, I want to remind everyone that Gunforged is available for purchase. It's a great way to support me and support my work. So check it out on Steam. The link for that is in the description below. And if you play it, consider leaving a review. I also have my Udemy courses linked in the description below as well. These will teach you how to build a complete game in Godot 4. I have a C# course and a GDScript course and an online multiplayer cooperative course that will be also in GDScript. Coming in the near future, probably will be releasing sometime this month. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, all those ways to support me are linked below. Very much appreciate any and all support. And you can also like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. All that good stuff helps as well. All right, how's everyone doing? Hello, Edox. Hello, Kiniaz. Welcome back. Hello, Craig. This live is so late that I even finished my programming classes before joining. Very nice. That means that you won't have to choose between me and your education. I had the plumbers that I've been waiting for they finally came this morning, so could not do a stream at the usual time. The Ant, hello, welcome back. Dione, welcome, good to see you. Ali, hello. Dragon Apple, Rookie Tookie, late stream, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. So, yeah, I made this crow yesterday for the stream. Or for the, during the stream. And this is going to be the way that you can leave encounters. So we'll see how it works. Might not be super intuitive, but I'm going to add it to the game and see. The more interesting thing to figure out is how to actually support doing the leave. We want to add a bunch of conditionality to the leave button to prevent the player from leaving certain encounters. If they've, put some cards in a grid. I don't know. You'll see the problem when we get there, but I've just exported all of those things. So now let me think about how this is going to work. So we've got our alchemy container. How do I want to actually do this? That is a good question. How do I want to do this? Well, I should probably start by making the scene in the first place. Yeah, we'll figure that out after I make the scene. So we'll do scene, new scene. We'll make it a type of control, I suppose. We'll do skip event button. Scenes, UI. Skip event. Skip event button. Let's go ahead and add our children. Come here, little children. We're going to go ahead and add those. Where are they? Event skip. Drag those on over. Okay, we'll get rid of the crow activated for now. All right, so we've got the branch. I'm not going to bother with offsetting these things at all. So we've got the branch. Let's get the crow in place. Let's figure out where the feet are supposed to be. Get rid of the outline. Get rid of the reference. So, like that. Oh, did I get it? No, this needs to be over like that. Or one over or more. Yeah, there it is. Yep. Okay, so there's our crow and our branch. We'll move this down like so. Okay, and then we got the crow activated, which will be here. So this is what it looks like when after you click it. Looks pretty good, actually. After struggling mightily yesterday on the stream and making initially a pigeon. I think the crow looks fine now. So we got the crow activated, then we need this outline in here. That can just sit like that. And we're good to go. Cool. All right, so there's our skip event button. Let's change this size to make sure it encompasses everything. So the easy way to do that is to take this ruler here. How far is this across? 45. And how far is this? 47. So we'll do 45, 47. So that's our clickable area. Let's add a script to it. Script UI, what did I call this? Skip event, I think. Yeah, so scripts UI, create new folder, skip event, kerblam. Okay, game.ui. And we need all those nodes. Node private sprite 2D, crow activated, and then outline. Public override void ready. Mouse entered plus equals on mouse entered. Okay, private void on GUI input EVT dot is action pressed game constants dot action click left, and we'll just say private void handle click. Okay, so I think that's the basic setup. Do it by doing it. The crow looks amazing, thank you. You know, I always wondered this, every single time you manage sprites by hand instead of using animated sprite, which sounds more scalable, I guess. So it's like performance thing or something not visible, not visible directly. Trying to think, why don't I use an animated sprite? So in this case, I don't actually need to animate it. I just need to switch to different frames, which you can do with an animated sprite, right? You could have animations that are one frame each that just show you the different frames. But this is only really the first instance in the game that I can think of where I've got two different sprites that I want to show, unless you're also referring to the outline. So I could use an animated sprite if I wanted to in here, but it seems like a little bit overkill when it's just as easy to just add another sprite 2D and toggle the visibility. If I had multiple different states the crow could be in, then I probably would consider using an animated sprite. But yeah, there's actually no animation happening. This is just going to appear when you click it. If you're talking about the outline, that could be a viable use of animated sprites where you could have one sprite that's not outlined and another sprite that is outlined and just swap them out. But honestly, the outlines are probably better to do as shaders anyway. The reason I'm not using a shader for the outline though is because I'm doing a lot of weird stuff with canvas groups all over the code to manage the fade out effects. And so the less that I do with shaders in terms of outlining, the more flexibility I have with shaders for things like fading things out, if that makes sense. Because if I were to do an outline for this, I guess I could just do a regular outline shader. But then the annoying thing about that too is I'd have to set a shader parameter for when it's hovered and when it's not hovered. And it's kind of almost easier just to toggle the visibility of a sprite. So, you know, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. There's more than one way to skin a cat, you know, that sort of thing. I didn't think you were streaming today. I didn't think so either, but the plumbers finished up earlier than I was expecting, so I have time. I think that's because he's using the animation player rather than the sprite sheet via animated sprite 2D, so it probably makes sense to just use a sprite 2D. Yeah. All animations in an animated sprite takes the same offset. I'm in the sprite centers. Sprite centers wouldn't line up on an animated sprite. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that you'd have to, if you had multiple frames, you'd have to make sure that each frame was the same dimensions and that each sprite was positioned in the frame such that it, you know, maintains the correct positioning. And that's just not the workflow that I have. You know, this crow has a different bounding box than this version of the crow. And it would take, I would have to use a different workflow to make sure that they use the same dimensions and retained the same position. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's more scalable. I just don't I don't think you could describe animated sprites as scalable, really. It's just like, it's providing a very narrow set of functionality, which is to display very specific images. You're going to have to set up an animated sprite every unique scene you have regardless, which is no different than setting up individual sprite 2Ds. It's basically the same amount of work. So, but like I said, it's just there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's 1,000,001 ways to do everything in game development. So yeah, anyway. So now I got to figure out how to actually use this thing. My cat is slamming cabinets right now. Let me go see if he's okay. Be right back. What are you doing? Okay, I'm back. We're taking over the stream revolution. Okay. So yeah, now the tricky part is I don't know how I'm actually going to show this button. I don't know how I'm going to show this button. The tricky part is this button is going to need, what is it going to need? The skip button is going to need some conditionality about when skipping is possible. This is actually going to be much trickier than I thought. Maybe I'll do something hacky. Should we do something hacky? So the problem is, I can't just throw the skip button into each of these event containers because I need it to retain the same position regardless of where it is. So if I do a skip event button here, I'd have to make sure that it's in the same position on this screen as it would be on like the enchant screen and all that stuff. So that's a little bit tricky. But I do need the skip event button to be inside of here so that I can define some custom logic. Like I need to be able to add custom like validation logic about whether the player can skip the encounter or not. And the reason I need that is because, again, if you are in the alchemy event and you want to skip it or leave it early, you could put a card in here inside of this alchemy container and then say, nope, I want to skip. The problem is that card is no longer in your inventory anywhere. So it needs to be put back in your inventory when you click the skip button. But I can't just assume that I can put the card back into like an open space on the grid, because it's possible that the player could rearrange their items after adding a card to the alchemy such that the card can no longer fit in any of the grids available to the player. So in that instance, I need to be able to skip or not skip the encounter, because you would just lose that card and that would feel really bad. So here's what I'm going to do. This is the hacky thing I'm going to do, actually. I am going to add a canvas layer. And then I'm going to make this the scene root. Whoops. Make scene root. Get rid of this script here. Skip event button. We'll call this control. Okay. This becomes a canvas layer. Then we need a node private control. Add a margin container, full rectangle, but we'll offset it in the top by maybe 32 pixels. Put the control under there. Take this margin container, make that ignore for the mouse. Then we're going to set this to shrink end, shrink begin. Oops, 45, 47. Okay. And then we got to mark all these as unique, mark this as unique. So now what I can do inside of each of my containers is I can instantiate that skip event button, and that's going to always be in the same location, but also I have a reference to it now in each of the scenes such that I can connect to that skip event button and provide custom validation logic and all that stuff. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to need to add that for every event scene here. Maybe I'll just do one at a time here. Let's just handle the alchemy container first. So how do I want to do validation rules in here? What I'll probably do is public delegate void skip validator, public delegate bool skip validator, private list skip validator, and we'll create a public method, public void add skip validator, skip validators dot add, skip validator, handle click if skip validators dot all x dot invoke. Actually, I wonder if I can just do this. Invoke. Nope. Does this return? Oh yeah, it returns true if the sequence is empty as well. Let's do, okay, let's just do this. Signal public delegate void skipped event handler emit signal skipped. Okay. I originally got into Godot for its GUI. First thing I used was Qt5, which has the most confusing documentation ever. In Godot, it's so easy, understood what VBox is in a second. Yeah, I think that the Godot GUI system, it's a little bit hard to understand at first, but once you do understand it, I think it's very, very usable outside of the, you know, minor things that we talked about. Is it okay to have a control node used in UI and add sprite 2Ds in it? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say that you should, like, I would encourage you to even do that for more complex things. So like I'm using these sprite 2Ds here for the skip button. If I were to do this with controls, I'd have to layer a bunch of texture recs and everything. It's like really all I need is this control here to provide mouse event input. But everything else is just visual stuff that I can manage myself. Brute Force don't have the button enabled when there's any cards in the slots. Yes, but that's going to have to depend on the individual scene, the individual enchant scene, because not every event is going to have cards that you can put into the slot. Finally been waiting for so long. Nice. Welcome, Neozoid. Hello, iCode stuff. Welcome back. Okay. All right. So the outline visibility to false there. Okay. So now we go to the alchemy container. We'll get a reference to that skip node private skip event button, skip event button. So we've got that skip event button there. Skip event button dot add skip validator. Return board dot board inventory component dot get cards on board. Oh, board inventory component, please. Thank you. Get cards on board is dot length is equal to 0. Finally fixed the error. I wasn't able to, or it wasn't able to load my transition sprite, so for some reason changed it in my grid sprite. Oh, very nice. Glad you got it fixed. Were you able to resubmit the fix for the jam? And I'm working on a skip button right now, working on being able to skip events. How do you stop yourself from working on too many projects at a time? I have a problem with stopping projects and starting work on a new one. Yeah. That is a good question. Because it depends, right? It's like, if you don't think that your current project is shaping up, or if you don't think it's fun, or it's just not working for whatever reason, like, you shouldn't necessarily just stick with something for the sake of sticking with it if it's not going to work. But at the same time, on the flip side, if you keep switching projects, you're never going to finish anything. So the typical advice for this is just try to do small projects that you can finish. Like, game jams are perfect for this. You need to get a feel for what types of things are worth finishing and what types of things are worth giving up on. And it also depends on where you're at too. If you're just like a pure hobbyist and you have no real desire to finish things, then I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with just doing a bunch of prototypes and having fun, like doing the mechanics of all those things, then moving on to the next thing. It depends on what you want out of what you're working on, you know? Obviously, it's a problem if you ever want to complete a game and potentially sell it. Well, you're never going to get there if you keep starting and stopping new projects. But again, if you're just a hobbyist and you like doing a bunch of technical experimentation, then, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I think you just need to practice. Like, it all comes out of practice. So practice finishing a project, and that means that probably you'll want to set the project scope to be very, very tiny so you can finish it. And again, that's why game jams are great. Why so late? Yes, it is the plumbers. Yep. Okay, good. I'm glad you were able to get it resubmitted. Work on one project at a time, yeah. I mean, I have multiple projects going on right now, but it's not like multiple game development projects. It's, you know, the course, and then this project, and then also the YouTube channel. It's just that I get new ideas and stop being able to work on the current one because I keep thinking about the new one. Yeah, that happens quite a lot. You know what actually helps me too is that sometimes you get too attached to an idea like really quickly. And so what I do is I let that idea just fester for a couple of weeks. So if I'm like, oh yeah, that would be really fun to make this kind of game, I go, okay, I'm just going to sit on it for a while. I'm not going to immediately like start working on it. I'm just going to let it sit for 2 or 3 weeks. And typically what happens is I come to the realization like, oh, that idea was not actually that great anyway, so I don't really want to work on it anymore. Hold on, I got to take this phone call real quick. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. So much going on today. Yeah, let the idea marinate. That's a good way of putting it. Fester is probably the wrong word. Let it marinate. And what you'll find often is that the idea, like you just lose interest in the idea after 2 weeks anyway. But some ideas actually do stick. And then that's a pretty good indicator that you're actually, you know, excited about the idea. But anyway. Hello, Ness. Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome. You are welcome, A the Ant. I'm just going to do a lambda here, I think. You know what I might do, actually? I think I'm just going to make this public. Make that public, then I don't need to add a signal every time. And I can just add my validators and be done. So now in my alchemy event state machine, what I can do So in here, what I would do is alchemy container dot skip event button dot skipped plus equals on skipped. Private void on skipped, and I'll just send this into the cleanup state. All right, let's give that a whirl. Let's give it a whirl. I've been in Obsidian Kanban where I just let ideas marinate and sort them based on how much I like them. That's a good idea. It's a very good idea. Okay, is there an alchemy in here somewhere? Let's go. Boom, boom, goodbye. 10,000 damage. You didn't stand a chance, buddy. You did not stand a chance, buddy. Increase board size. I should probably make this more testable. Alchemy. So here's the skip over here. So if I put this in here, it shouldn't let me skip. Put this here. Boom. Oh, I gotta hide the outline too. So skip event button, emit signal skipped. Let's set, let's do outline.visible equals false. And let's do control.mouse filter is equal to mouse filter enum.ignore. Let's do this. Okay. That should work. Better use Obsidian to store that idea, yeah. I've also heard ways not to start on a new project is to tell others to keep me on track. The problem is that whenever I try that, either people I tell forget or I completely lose interest. Yeah, I don't... I'm just generally not a fan of the idea of accountability buddies, because then part of your success hinges on somebody else also being responsible. So yeah, I don't think that's a good way to do anything, honestly. You shouldn't have to rely on somebody else to help you stay disciplined. Because number one, that's not going to work, and number two, that just seems like too much to ask of somebody, to me. You should probably give him like 10,001 health so he stands a chance. Yeah. This game looks fun. I'm excited to play it. Thank you, Lincoln. I appreciate that. What would you say a percentage of the project is finished? Like 10%. Probably. Maybe not even 10%. $10,001 is too small. 10,002, yeah. 0.1%? Well, it's not that much. It's not that low. Okay, here's alchemy again. Boom. I'll have to add some kind of like indicator that this is not possible. Okay, there we go. That was looking good. Obviously some fade out work to do there, but it's working. Okay. Initial skip event button work. Oh. Maybe Kinyaz was talking about your project. I don't know. Hard to tell sometimes in chat who the messages are directed to. Okay, so that's one thing down. Let's see. There's a skip event button there. Oh, actually, we don't need that at all. So this is a place where I don't need a validator. Booster event state machine. Oh, this is going to be iffy. This is going to be iffy, so I might need to come up with a more streamlined way of fading this out, but let's just go ahead and do this. Booster container dot skip event button dot skipped plus equals let's see what that does. That's why the at exists, yeah. Okay, we gotta go find a booster. There's one. So if I skip this, that's just gonna immediately not fade out. So we gotta figure out a fade out for this. State booster card selection. How am I gonna manage this? Excuse you, cat. How am I going to manage this? You know, it seems simple, or I know it seems simple. One thing I've learned to help me keep on track is to create a list of things that I want to accomplish for the game at that time, whether it's a feature, part of the map, enemy. Doing this helps keeps me focused on what I have to do next. Then once I get those done, I add more to the list. Yeah, I think that makes sense. yeah, you kind of lose. If you've got a goal to work towards, that definitely helps. Rather than just being like a, you know, unknown where to take the project next in terms of the direction. So how am I going to do this? Booster container. Oh goodness, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. You know what I'm thinking now? I'm thinking maybe I don't even add a skip for this. Yeah. I don't think I need a skip for this booster container, actually. So we're actually going to yeet all that. Because the thing is, there's no reason to skip it, because what you could do instead is you could just take a card and immediately sell it to get through the encounter, so that's only a benefit. So there'd be no benefit to being able to skip that encounter anyway. You only really need to skip encounters that can soft lock you. So yeah, that was actually just not even necessary. Oh, the stained glass windows that I'm no longer using. So sad. Same with the grill board. I don't need to skip there either. Same with the health, because there's always going to be a free health option. So actually, this is going to be a lot simpler than I thought. The shop already has a way of skipping it, but I might want to make that. Okay, so wait. So does that mean that just the upgrade? Yeah, I think just the card upgrade and the enchant are the only things that need the skip button. Public skip event button, skip event button. Yeah, this will be very easy. Okay, and I need to add a validator for that too, actually. So in here, skip event button dot add skip validator. Oops. Return board dot board inventory component dot get cards on board dot length is equal to 0. Okay, and we'll do the same for the enchant container here. Okay, I think that's it. Cool. MVP, yes. Making a list of features, double-edged sword for me. I get overwhelmed with too many items on a list. That's true. I mean, yeah. There's problems anywhere you look, really. Haven't found the sweet spot. Just want to say, I stumbled upon your channel not too long ago with your game reviews, and despite me being new to coding, Godot, and game dev in general, it's extremely helpful. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that, Eric. Thank you. Appreciate that. I have another code review coming. I'm hopefully going to have the video ready by Saturday. So we'll see. Hopefully it's ready. I actually might re-record it. I'm not sure. Have to see how it looks in editing. Anyway. We're our own worst critics, yeah. True. All right, alchemy. So let's just test this really quick. I shouldn't be able to skip here, but I can skip now. Can't skip the booster. I should be able to skip the upgrade card, but only if there's nothing in it. Cool. Now, is there... Oh, enchant is all the way over there. Let's go to the enchant, everybody. Oh, shoot. Goodbye. All right, to the enchant we go. Skip. Okay, I'll put this in here. Can't skip that. Could increase the critical chance. Still can't skip it. Go out. If I click skip again, I need to disable skip on that situation. So let me think. How am I going to do that? So there's a couple things I want to do, but I think for now that works. Add skip button to other skippable events. My current end goal is to get enough done so I could get it on a code review. Yeah, that would be cool. I also just started game dev. I'm just trying to make a Strike Force Heroes type game, for I loved it as a child. Awesome. I can't say I'm familiar with that kind of game, but don't want to start big, but a 2D platformer is cool. Yeah, I think 2D platformer is probably one of the most simple initial things that you can get into. And the nice thing about 2D platformers is they can be as simple or as complex as you want, right? So you could just make it so that you're hopping around on platforms and it's very easy and basic, right? But then you could add wall jumping, right? Or wall sliding, or wall climbing, or you could add ladders, or you could add jump boosts, right? Like there's all kinds of ways to make a platformer much more complex. So it's a kind of a great project for beginners because you can see how you could very easily build on top of things that you already have, right? So you get the basic jumping and movement in place, then you add ledge hanging, right? And then you add all this other stuff. So yeah, I think it's a good one. I think it's a good one to start with. What am I doing? Oh yeah. So let's do this then. Let's create a public method. Trying to figure out how I want to do this. How do I want to do this? await get tree dot create timer 0.5f false. To signal scene tree timer dot signal name dot timeout. So I'm just going to add a 0.5 second delay before that skipped signal actually gets emitted. That's going to be actually tricky. Never mind about that. I don't know how to do this. Well, let's just do this real quick. We'll add a canvas group. Okay, play out visual utilities dot play or fade out canvas group. Okay. So now what I would need to do is inside of these, or the three things, it was the upgrade event state machine, it was the enchant event state machine, and it was the alchemy event state machine. Upgrade container dot skip event button dot play out. Maybe what I'll do, let's get rid of that, and we'll put this in here. Public async task, await to signal get tree create timer 0.5 false. Scene tree timer dot signal name dot timeout, and then we'll do return. Why does this not work? I guess I'll just do await. So we'll do this, await that. Okay. And then in here, we'll do the same thing. Oh, but this only should happen if it gets skipped. Shoot. Shoot. Did I never add the skip to this? Enchant container.skip on skipped. Okay, I'm gonna need to store another boolean here, and private bool is skipped. And in here, if is skipped. Play fade out, bool was clicked. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Okay. Let's see if any of that works. I've always avoided ledge hanging because in my head it was too complicated. I think it's actually relatively simple. Maybe. I think it's just a matter of doing raycasts. Is your next course going to be C# again? No, it's not. It's going to be GDScript. Sorry about that, Potril. Hello, Shok R. I bought your C# puzzle game course. I just want to say well done. Really enjoying the course so far. Awesome. Glad you're liking it. Thank you. Thank you. Trying to use Raycast 2D. How goes the necromancies? It goes well, yeah. It's going well. Thank you, Yeet. You said this project was less than 10% done. Do you really want this project so bad to invest this much? Or do you not intend it all to be this complex? I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, you can't... If you're trying to make a game that can be sold on Steam, I don't really know if you can avoid a certain level of complexity, you know? If you want to sell it for any appreciable amount of money anyway. A game dev just takes a very long time, and especially if you're trying to make a game that people will spend their money on. So, yeah, I mean, I think this, believe it or not, is one of the simpler games that I've made. It's going to be simpler than Gunforged, but it's still a lot of work. Raycasts don't scare me like that, yeah. Do GDScript courses sell better than C#? Yes, they do, yeah, because there's just a larger audience for it. At least it's not ray tracing. You need a GTX, whatever, RTX, I mean. Okay, Cat, what do you want? What do you want? I never expected this project to be done in 3 months. My position has always been that it needs to be done before the end of the year. So I don't know where you're getting the 3 months number from. And this game is easy, comparatively speaking. It's harder than I initially thought it was going to be because I'm putting more effort into the art than I had initially anticipated. But yeah, this is a relatively simple game to build as games go. It's just, yeah, there's still a lot of work to do. I don't know what to tell you. You're progressing really fast considering how many things you're juggling. Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's been like, yeah, the progress is slow because this is literally, I keep saying these streams are the only time basically that I'm ever working on this game right now because I've been working on the course for like the past 3 or 4 weeks. So why Raycast is scary? I don't know. All games are complex, it just matters how you handle that complexity, right? Yep. All right, let's see. I guess I gotta get through this combat. Where am I going? Increase board size. We'll get to this upgrade card and we'll see how this looks. Ah! Okay. Sweet. That seems to be working. Bah! So we need that to animate in now, that skip button. Okay. Bam! Goodbye. Now let's make sure it works. Here, it does. Yep, and I was not able to drag a card over onto it. Cool. All right, that's all working great. Game development is just chaos incarnate, yeah. Do I regret starting this project? No, not at all. I'm having a lot of fun with this project. I'm actually very optimistic about it. Do I have a better game idea? No, I actually don't have a better game idea. I mean, I have vague ideas for games, but like, what does better mean, right? Like, does better mean more thematically intriguing? Does it mean more mechanically intriguing? I think this idea is better simply because it has a very strong identity, and I have a pretty clear idea of what all needs to go into the game to make it a complete experience. And to me, like, you can't underestimate the value of those things, right? Like, you might have a game that's got a really cool theme or a really cool story or really cool art or whatever, but a game that has all the pieces you need to know how to finish it, that you can't discount that, right? So yeah, I mean, I've got ideas for games. Like, I want to make a game that's kind of like Battle Brothers, but necromancy themed, right? Where you build up an army of necromancers, and it's like a turn-based, like, strategy game. I've always wanted to make that. I've wanted to try my hand at making like a more traditional deck building roguelike. I've got some ideas for that as well. There was a game that I was making a while ago that was it was like a turn-based roguelike game that was on a hexagonal grid that was really promising, but I dropped that one. Yeah, I have all kinds of ideas. It's just like, yeah, I think that this is the best one at the moment. Is the game and other deck builders technically mostly UI? Yes, basically, yeah. I think that's right, Eric. Every time I try to make a game, I get demotivated by the art. Can't find any art to fit my game idea, and I can't make them myself. Yeah, that's a rough spot to be in. But I say this every time. I think you shouldn't underestimate the value of just putting in a little bit of effort into learning art, because you don't need to be necessarily a good artist to make art that fits your game. You just need to be able to follow some basic art rules. And if you know things like color theory, if you're making pixel games, maintaining a proper pixel density, and if you do those things and you just practice that a little bit, like, you'd be surprised about how much of making art look good is just rules based, right? It's just being consistent with your theme, using colors effectively, and like that gets you like 80% of the way to a competent game, right? There's all kinds of games on Steam that are pretty popular that don't have the best art in the world, but they have strong visual identities because they do adhere to a standout visual style, you know what I mean? So I think this idea that you can't make art, I just don't think that's true. I think that you have the capability to learn how to do art to the point where you can make a game with your own art assets and it has like a consistent theme and style. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to create the most gorgeous pixel art ever seen, but it does mean that you'll be able to do that, at least for yourself. You know what I mean? So I'd encourage you to try it. I think that this is probably true to some extent as well, the Ant. An idea is as good as your capability to implement it. That's also true. Worst problem a game dev can have is to work and try to make a game perfect. You won't know what it needs at the end until you release it, and the public tells you what's wrong or missing. Yeah, that's also true. That's why playtesting is important, I think. I always get the feeling that I may be wasting my time and I should have invested in a better idea from the start. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you mean. I wonder if that comes with experience, though. I've like released, quote unquote, released very many small games, jam games and everything. And so I think I generally have a good sense for when I know a project is heading in a good direction. I think I have a good sense for when to be optimistic or pessimistic about a game idea. But I think I developed that by just releasing a lot of games, because I know, like, I'm at the point now where if I'm in a game jam, I'm like, oh, yep, this game is going to be a dud. And then on the flip side, when I'm working on a game jam game, I'm like, oh, yeah, this game is going to be awesome. You know? But I think that's just something you have to learn through experience as well. I'm not saying my judgment is flawless either. I'm just saying I think I have a better sense for when a game is going in the right direction versus not. Is there ever even really good games that have terrible art? Undertale's art was literally made with MS Paint and it was made worse because it looked too good. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, the thing about Undertale is, like, the style is consistent, right? So what is, I guess I don't know what terrible means in that situation. Like, yeah, it's not like a fine artist who paints oil painting masterpieces sat down and made a pixel art game, but somebody who very clearly knew how to at least be consistent in their theme, sat down and drew that art, and it works, right? And that's like a classic case of like, if Undertale can work looking the way that it does, then you can probably create art for yourself that will work as well. Is that crow thing a button? Yeah. It's a button. Well, it's functioning as a button, but it doesn't have a button node. It's using a control to intercept the mouse events. The crow's a skip button, yes. Lurk. Is it worth to participate in Game Jam even though I already know I wouldn't make it in time? I'm very slow in creating games. I think so, because I think you can learn, even despite being slow at games, how to create a game with a small enough scope that you can finish it in time. I would try it. Give it a try. You know? You'd be surprised at how much you can get done in a short amount of time, I think. What am I doing? I forgot what I was doing. Oh, I need to make this animate in, okay. So I'm gonna take a quick 2-minute break, and when I get back, or 3-minute break, sorry, 3-minute break, and when I get back, I'm gonna animate the skip button in now. And then we also need to have some like error messages, maybe some text pops up that like says skip or whatever. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. Hello everybody, I'm back. There's a game I can't remember the name, but it just got hand-drawn that is scanned in. There's also another game that is just a square going through a story. Oh yeah, Thomas Was Alone is that one. I think. But I know what you're talking about, the hand-drawn art. I've seen a couple of hand-drawn games like that. Hello, Sir Naldo. I'm here again doing your course. I like it so much. Thanks for it. You're welcome. Thank you so much for your message. Thank you, thank you. Going to learn more about Godot plus C# because I have an idea for an MMORPG sandbox with sci-fi themes that I want to throw into reality. Well, I think MMOs are very, very complicated. It can be done. I've seen a few posts of people on the Godot subreddit sharing their like browser-based MMOs that they made with Godot. So it's definitely possible, but it's the probably the most difficult thing you could choose to do. So I would just caution you against that. See if you can strip out the MMORPG part and make it like a single player experience. Would be my advice to you, but that's just a stranger on the internet's advice. All right, let's get this whole thing moved in. So let me think. I think I'll just have to animate the canvas group. So let's do this. Canvas group dot position is equal to vector2.right times control dot custom minimum size dot, yeah, times control dot custom minimum size. Let's do a private void play in. Var tween is equal to create tween, tween property. We're going to tween the property of the canvas group, node 2D, property name, dot position, string. We're going to go to vector2.0. Let's do over 1 second. East type out cubic. And then let's call play in here. All right, let's see how it goes. Actually, I could probably just run this scene by itself. There's no reason I can't do that. Like a game needs to be good enough to sell itself, and amazing visuals can do that. We are simple creatures and we click shiny things. Game can sell itself by being good through word of mouth. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, visuals are important. Visuals are very important, but you can get to a good visual style without being the best artist, I think. Do I want in or out? What easing do I want? Out cubic. Yeah, I definitely want out. Maybe quart is what I want. Let's try quart. Yeah, that looks better. So now that's going to be animated in when I go to like the upgrade. Maybe I should add a delay there too. Tween.tween interval. Let's do maybe 1 second. Because I kind of want attention to be called to it. So we'll get the animation for the main thing coming in first. And then the crow will come in a little bit later. And I think that's going to look okay. Go to this combat here. Kerblam, 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 goodbye. And there's the skip. Caw! If I play like a crow sound right there, that's gonna sound really cool. I was also playing around with some music today while the plumbers were here because I couldn't really do much else. Trying to get like a Diablo-esque guitar going. Oh, I want to make the crow blink too. I forgot. Oh, I forgot to make it blink. We definitely need to do that. Thought you were hiring a musician. I will be, yeah. I was playing around with AI generated music though, just to get a feel. Because what I'll do is I'll probably generate like an AI track as like a placeholder so I can get a feel for what I want. And then I'll send the AI track to the musician and say, hey, create something that's like this for the game. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's see. So I need to make this outline. We need some text, actually. Let's get the text in there. Oops, what am I doing? Skip is a weird word. Doesn't seem like a word anymore. Anyway. So this here... Oops. I think I would want this to be red, actually. Red if you can't do it. I'm just trying to think of how I want to communicate this. Private label, skip label dot visible is equal to false. I'm going to create a new method called highlight. Unhighlight, highlight, unhighlight. Okay. That's a little bit cleaner. The crow of disregard. Caw! The crow of disregard. Maybe I should make the sound effects, like I said, like somebody said with my mouth. I think Kinney has said that. Caw! Boom. Can you go sleep? You're a cat. You're supposed to sleep all day. Go to sleep. Okay, so now I need the invalid state. Go, 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 go. Add skip label. Skip disallowed label. Okay, what color do we want this to be? So we'll go to theme overrides, colors, font color, this. Then we need a different outline here. So I'm actually going to change this outline. I'm going to make this pure white. Oops. Make the outline pure white. Then we can change the color in here. Modulate, boom. So when we highlight this, I'm going to say outline dot modulate is equal to game constants dot color white if skip validators dot any x not x dot invoke outline dot modulate is equal to game constants dot color red. Now we need a skip disallowed label in here. Node private label skip disallowed label. Skip label dot visible is equal to true. Skip disallowed label dot visible is equal to false. Skip label.visible. Instead of doing this, let's see. Var is invalid. This will be easier. Okay. Let's see if that works. What do you mostly use for your animations? Just tweens, animation players, and shaders. Those are my main tools for animation. I don't do frame-by-frame animations, typically speaking. Boom, now we've got a cannot skip here. So I can remove that, skip. Move this out. Boom. Sweet. Begin. Hello, Ang Judev. Wow, have you ever worked as a pixel artist? I have not, no. Thank you for the compliment, though. No, I've never been paid to do pixel art. I just learned myself, and then this is the current level of my skill. I would say that this game is pushing my pixel art skills to their limits, especially when it comes to that enchant screen that I worked on for so long. But thank you, I appreciate that. Man, seeing code still overwhelms me. I want to start learning game dev, but I get sleepy the moment I start watching tuts. Oh yeah. Programming is hard, it's not easy. I think one of the reasons why it's not super easy is because the learning curve is really steep. And since the learning curve is so steep, it's just a problem. I wonder if I should fade out that skip. I should probably fade out that skip if you interact with something. Play out was clicked. Private bool is out. So I want to be able to call play out early to disable it. And then, yeah, let's do that. So if I go to my upgrade container, when I click the validate here, or no, when I click, yeah, let's do this. Skip event button dot play out. False. And we'll just not await that. We don't need to await that at all. So if we go to the enchant container, on tentacle clicked, skip event button dot play out false. Okay, and then what's the last one? Alchemy container. In here, skip event button dot play out false. So now when you actually activate like the alchemy or the upgrade, there's no reason for that skip to remain in place because there's nothing to skip beyond that point. So skip is only really useful if you don't want to do the encounter. But if I do this and I click a card, that skip goes away now. And the only way to advance is to take my card back. So that makes more sense to me. That definitely makes more sense. Let's try it with the alchemy as well. Cannot skip. I can skip it there. Let's throw something into the alchemy. Boom. Put it here. Yeah, that skip goes away and we're good to go. So let's try this again. I want to make sure that I can't click it after it disappears. Yeah, that's not working. And then I could do this. Bam. And we're done. Sweet. Cool. Goodbye. Goodbye, boss. Boom. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. You also do your animations in Godot? Yeah. Yeah, in the animation player or in the shader, like I said. Okay. I think there's some improvements that I can make to the skip button. Like, I think what would be fun is if you click it, it should maybe spew some feather particles. That would be kind of cool. So you imagine you go... I guess I'll go to this combat first. Just skip through this. So you imagine you go through this alchemy here. You click the skip. Caw! Feathers, poof, and then it goes away. And try this, though. Goodbye. Yeah, this is feeling pretty good. I like how rapid everything is. It's very easy to just blow through the events. Get my upgraded card. Bam. Of course, like, I'm blowing through it because I have the cheat item, but you know. Cool. All right, this is looking good. This is looking good. Maybe the cannot skip can have a unique frame on hover, or rather the crow reacts in some way when you hover. That's an interesting idea, yeah. Last thing that I want to do, and then we'll be done with the skip button for now. Like I said, there's lots of room for improvement in all kinds of things in this game. But I am going to be kind of focused now on just getting like something playable going here. So let's do blink. Do I want to do that color or do I want to do this color? Let's try that color to start. Okay. Node private sprite 2D blink. Blink.visible is equal to false. Private timer, blink timer. Okay, start random. Blink timer dot timeout. Plus equals on blink timer timeout. Blink timer dot stop. Blink visible equals false. Private void on blink timer timeout. Var tween is equal to create tween. Blink dot visible is equal to true. Create tween, tween dot tween interval, 0.1, tween dot tween callback, callable dot from, blink dot visible is equal to false. Blink timer dot call, start random. Okay, let's see if that works. It's working, it's just the blink timer is not long enough. I just purchased a roguelite bundle, very nice. It's one way to do blinking. I thought you would use an animated sprite. No, nope. Yep, just hide and show the eyes. I think the color just needs to be darker though. Yeah, that makes it much more noticeable that it's blinking. I think it's looking fine. I think it's looking great. Oh my, what's going on down here? Let's take a gander. Skip. Whew! Haha, that was pretty cool. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. That's going to be it for the stream today. That's all I have. So ending a little bit earlier than the usual time. Well, later than the usual time, but earlier than the typical duration. But I've got some other work that I need to get going on. So thanks again for watching, everybody. Thank you for your support. And again, check out the links in the description below for all the ways you can support me. Be on the lookout for that new Godot code review video that might or will probably be out on Saturday. So we'll see. Do you intend to create any specialized content about implementing the ECS architecture in Godot C#? No, mostly just because I think that's broadly unnecessary. You can accomplish a similar thing with composition. You know, the ECS system, I mean, maybe there's a way to do it in Godot that is beneficial, but I think, yeah, I just use composition for everything. I have no personal interest in ECS, so probably will not create any related content, but, you know, everything's subject to change in the future, so we'll see. But in any case, thank you all for watching, thank you all for being here, and I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, the usual time. All right, bye-bye.